Hi guys, welcome in today's video, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the whole reason why we're having a hard time to actualize our vision, to pursue our vision and our dreams and our desired reality. So the last weeks I've been talking about this subject with my friends, like the more spiritual type of friends, and we kept circling back to this subject. So that's why I felt I wanted to sit down with you guys, talk about this subject as if you guys are my friends and explain my perspective on this topic. So, last week I was drinking some coffee with a friend of mine, and all we do is yap. But she was talking about a podcast, and it was called something like Manifest Your Destiny or Your Desires Are Your Destiny, something like that. So, I wanted to start this video with that because I want you to take this perspective. You probably have a vision, otherwise, you wouldn't click on this video. You have this vision and you have your present self. So there's something that's connecting you guys together, and that is your desire. Your desire is a magnet that pulls you towards your destiny. Your desire is your destiny. So hold on to that desire and know that it's leading you in the right direction. So the reason why you have a hard time actualizing this vision, I believe there are two type of ways of how you can live this life. The first one is how most people live. That's when life is being created from the outside in. I feel like you can see it as two worlds. You have your inner world and you have the outer world. The first way of living is when the outside world is creating the inside world. Because that actually happens the moment we get born. We go into a system, a family system, a cultural system, we go to school, and our inner world is being created and molded by the external world, also by the media, by the news, and it determines how we see ourselves. It determines how we see the world, what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about the world. And when we always look outside of ourselves to understand who we are, then we actually don't know who we are because no one outside of you can tell you that. And how can you create a life that is authentic to you when you let the world outside of you determine how to think, how to act, how to behave? It's not really possible. But when the outer world is creating the inner world, you are actually in reactivity mode. You are consuming everything that is around you and you keep reacting to that. And you have the law of cause and effect. So then the external reality is the cause and your reaction is the effect. But once you start studying spirituality, like the new age spirituality, the law of attraction, law of assumption, metaphysics, all these things, you will start to learn that you can create your reality, that you can be the cause and the external reality can be the effect. So that is the second way of how you can live your life, and that is by creating your life from the inside out, letting your inside world be reflected by the outer world. And that is the spiritual law of correspondence. As within, so without. As above, so below. They also talk about that in the 7 Hermetic Principles. As within, so without is an old saying, but that actually means that the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. But what does that really mean and how does it work? So in quantum physics, they explain, or in spirituality, all the rabbit holes I dove into, it's that everything first exists in the 4D, in the spiritual dimension. Everything is first energy before it manifests physically. So it's first the inner world, and after that it manifests in the outer world, in the mirror. The outer world is just a mirror of who you are. So you can really make this shift and become the creator of your reality by getting out of reactivity mode and creating your life from the inside out. But why do people struggle so much with that? That's the big question. Why do we struggle with becoming the creator of our lives? So I want to share with you guys a little bit of my story of how this process went. So I remember the first time when I realized that I was the creator of my reality. It was when I was 19. I learned more about the law of attraction. I read a book. It was about how to create heaven on earth. And it was at that moment when I was 19 that everything in the universe was nudging me towards learning that I can create my life. So all these people, things, knowledge came on my path because I was ready to learn this new level of consciousness. I thought with the law of attraction, let's just try it out. I have nothing to lose. Just practice the things you just learned and see if it works. Just see if it works. And I was looking for an apartment at that time, so I wanted to manifest a new apartment. And the moment I manifested it consciously, because we're always manifesting, but that was the first time that I was doing it consciously, the manifestation actualized. The moment it was confirmed, I saw it at 11:11. So that was for me a big sign that, okay, manifestation works. It's not BS, it really works. And that's when I realized, okay, so that means that I am the creator of my reality. But if I'm the creator of my reality, that means I can create anything I want. But then it's not the question, how can I create what I want? Because it works. The question is, what the F do I really want to create then? And that's when I got a whole identity crisis, because I actually didn't know. I had no idea. And that's when I realized that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't know why I wanted the things that I wanted up until then. So then I started to question everything. I started to question my beliefs, my desires, the way I've been living, and I lost actually touch with that version of myself because I questioned everything. I learned to understand that all these things that I thought that I wasn't really me. But what was it then? It was the outer world creating my inner world. I was programmed into a certain way, but it wasn't my authentic self. So I had to let go of this old version of myself. And that's when the shedding process started. That's when I let go of all these beliefs that didn't serve me anymore. That's when I let go of all these layers of ego that weren't me in my essence. That's when I started to connect back with my soul, with my higher self, with who I really am, with my authentic self. And only from that space, from that connection with your higher self, with your authentic self, you can start to create your life from the inside out, because you need to have that connection. If you have that connection with the spiritual, with your soul, with your higher self, you can start taking inspired action instead of programmed action, taking the conventional path because it was thought for you to go that way because everyone else is doing it. That's a bit of my journey on how I shifted into wanting to create my life from the inside out, because once I connected more with my authentic self, I learned more about who I really am, what my authentic talents are, my abilities, and I strengthened them. I started to focus on these. So I wasn't focusing on what would look a good way in society and for my family and friends. I really started to connect with my intuition. What feels good to me? When do I feel in alignment? When am I taking the path of least resistance? And in order to really understand that, you need to be very self-aware of your inner world, because you can feel it when you're out of alignment. I don't always feel that we need to have a clear picture of what we should do, what our future vision is, but it's also a feeling that pulls you that way. But also, when you get yourself better, you can start creating a new vision, a new picture that aligns with who you are. And then the only thing that's between you and that vision is time and space and aligned action. But people struggle with the aligned action. And that's what I really wanted to talk about. Why do people struggle with that? That's because up until now, up until the point that you know what you want to create, up until the point that you're connected with your higher self, all the things that you've been doing on a day-to-day basis has been because it's been programmed and controlled. You're acting out of fear or out of a program. So the reason why you go to work is maybe only because you're scared that you get fired when you don't show up. It's because your boss expects you to be there. The only reason why you go to work is because you need to pay rent and you're scared that there's no other way to provide for yourself. So that's why you don't give your real vision a chance. That's why you are not leaping into your desired reality, because you're stuck in a program of fear. And I actually read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and it's such an interesting book. Kind of dark, because in the book he has an interview, the author has an interview with the entity that represents the devil. It's just a level of consciousness, I guess. And he asks, like, what is one of the ways that you keep most people in control? And the devil replied that he has 99% of people under his control on earth. And it just starts at birth, when people go to school, because the biggest way to have people in its control is by not letting them think for themselves. So the smartest way to do that is to create a system, like school as an instance, where people don't learn to think for themselves, where people don't learn to question everything. where people don't learn to question themselves, their beliefs, but also the system that they grew up in. We just accept that this is what life is without even asking deeper questions. And that's okay because we're all here living at different levels of consciousness. So we shouldn't judge also on these lower level of consciousness. Lower isn't even a nice word. It's just a different frequency. But if you really want to shift into becoming the creator, you can't stay stuck in a program that has been put into your mind. You need to get rid of it. You need to work through it. And you need to start connecting with your God essence, because when you start going into creation mode, you connect with source, because God is the creator of all. So if you step into your creator mode, you're connected back with like the God consciousness. I am Jesus, Christ consciousness. You have the power here. So up until this point, all the things that you've been doing on a day-to-day basis is because it's run by a program, or you're acting out of fear, or you're being controlled. You're scared that you can't provide for yourself and you can't create your desired reality. You're running by programs, you're doing a job because the outside world is expecting you to do it. But when you shift, when you start creating your life from the inside out, there's no one expecting you to show up except for yourself, except for your future self, except for your vision, your higher self, your intuition. So once you take aligned action, it's not because someone expects you every day to clock in at work. It's because you believe so much in your vision, you feel so deeply in your core that you deserve to actualize that vision. There's nothing else you can do than live in your purpose and serve this world. And that's why you take action. That's why you need to get disciplined. That's why you need to be consistent. So when you shift into becoming the creator of your reality, you are actually starting for the first time with developing the skills of consistency and discipline. So don't be so hard on yourself when you're struggling to be super good at being consistent in your vision. It doesn't mean that your vision isn't strong enough. It's because you're still developing in operating in this new way in reality, where you are the cause and the external is the effect. It's a whole new way of operating. So it makes a lot of sense that some weeks you fall back into reactivity mode, into your old habits, into the old programs. That's okay. But once you get there, reflect on yourself and really ask yourself, like, why did I do this again? Which beliefs got me here? Which beliefs got me ending up here again? And then shift back to the creation, to the creator frequency, to the creator consciousness, where you are actively pursuing the things that you want to do here. So it's okay to fall back into the old consciousness and shift to the higher. It's going to be a process of falling back, going forward. But if you keep going forward, if you keep standing up when you fall, there comes a moment where you don't trip anymore. There comes a moment when that's your overall state of consciousness. So that's, I guess, the main message that I wanted to share in this video. Like, give yourself some grace in this process, but also really understand how powerful it is to create your life from the inside out. It's super radical, but it's also everything you deserve. I feel like creating your life from the inside out is the biggest way of loving yourself, because you are completely showing up for yourself. You are connected to your why, the reason you came here on earth. It's not just superficial. You came here to get everything out of it. And because of that, you are utilizing your time way more, way better, way more efficient, way more powerful. You can make so much impact and serve your purpose in your time being here by showing up authentically. And that's the last thing that I want to touch on to end this video. And that is that I think that maybe the audience that I also attract are people that are maybe light workers, resonate with that term, and want to help other people. You're the person that wants to pull people out of their dark places because you see their potential and you know that they can get there. But the biggest gift that you can give to the people around you, even to the collective, is not by trying to help them and fix them and pulling them out of a bad place. The biggest gift you can give someone else is stepping into your authentic self and stepping into your authentic path. Because not only Are you serving with your authentic talents and abilities when you show up as your authentic self? You are also giving them the permission to do the same. Maybe, probably, people will make you feel as if it's a bad thing that you show up authentically, because it triggers them. When you step into your path, into your light, you shine light on them, which amplifies their shadows. So they are faced with their shadows. They are being confronted with the reasons why they are not stepping into their light. But because you give yourself the permission to live as your authentic self, you won't want to pull people down when they do the same. All you will do is support them, because you know how good it feels to finally align with your path. And when you're on the path of your authentic self, you also know that there is no competition. So jealousy will just be a guide to show you where you need to go. The other way around, you won't be so jealous because there's no competition. Because you understand that everyone has their own unique path. So why be in competition? It's just you against you, honey. So I hope that this video gave you some inspiration and that you got a better understanding of why you stay stuck in your old self, why it's so hard to break out of a mold, but you are on the right path if you watch this video, and you can shift in any moment into creation consciousness. You got this, and I see you on my next video.